brought to you by oneaauto.com, your source for quality parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of oneaauto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the EGR tube in this Dodge Ram. This one's a 2008 1500, and the procedure is pretty much the same for 2006 to 2008 Dodge Rams with the 5.7 liter Hemi. You'll need a new EGR tube from oneauto.com, flat blade screwdriver, 8 to 10 millimeter sockets with a ratchet and extension, a torque wrench, and some penetrating oil.
While it may not be necessary to remove the upper intake components on your motor in order to do this install, it only takes a moment to remove these parts. It gives you a lot more room to work and see what you're doing. Open the airbox by releasing the metal clips on the side and the rear. Pop it out of its holders. Release this hose from the front, and using a flat blade screwdriver, loosen the clamp on the rear of the inlet pipe. With that loosened up, work the pipe off of the box. Remove this assembly. The bottom half of your airbox simply lifts off its retainers, comes right out of the truck. Remove the two 10 millimeter bolts, one behind the alternator, one behind the oil cap, with a 10 millimeter socket, ratchet, and extension. Lift up on the airbox so you can access the intake air temp sensor at the front. Push down on the connector, remove it from the IAT, remove the airbox from the vehicle. The EGR valve is located on the front of the cylinder head on the passenger side, just below the alternator. Using an 8 millimeter socket and ratchet, remove the two bolts connecting the EGR tube to the EGR valve. You may want to use penetrating oil on the bolts that connect the EGR tube to the valve, as they're very prone to breaking. Remove the EGR tube from the valve. The other end of your EGR tube is located in the top passenger side of the intake manifold, just behind the throttle body. You'll need a flat blade screwdriver to pry up and release this clip. Remove the other end of the EGR tube from your intake manifold. Here we have the old EGR tube from the vehicle, our new part from 1A Auto. You can see that they're the same diameter pipe, same bends, have the same seal and the same flange for the clamp on the end, as well as coming with a new heat-resistant wrap already installed. Reinstall the EGR tube into your truck. Reinstall the tube into its slot in the intake manifold. Reinstall your clip onto the intake manifold. Secure the EGR tube in place. Reinstall the bolts into the EGR valve. Tighten the bolts down with an 8 millimeter socket and ratchet. Torque the bolts on the EGR tube to 20 foot-pounds. Reinstall the end of the airbox with the silicone gasket over the end of your throttle body. Tighten up the bolt behind the oil fill cap and behind the alternator with a 10 millimeter socket and ratchet and an extension. Reconnect the intake air temp sensor. Drop the lower air filter housing back onto its mounting locations. Be sure the air filter is fully seated into the housing. Reinstall the intake tube onto the airbox and the PCV breather hose. Lock the lid of the airbox back onto its hinge. Close it. Lock it back down and tighten the intake tube clamp with a flat blade screwdriver.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope this video helped you out. Next time you need parts for your car, please visit oneauto.com. Also check out our other helpful how-to as well as diagnosis videos.